Hello, my name is John, and today we'll be reading Why Are So Many Women Depressed by Dennis Prager. It is widely reported that women suffer depression at twice the rate of men. Apparently, more women are clinically depressed than ever before. On the assumption that these assessments are true, anyone interested in the subject, which means anyone who cares about any woman, is why. Assuming that any new phenomenon, in this case much higher rates of depression among women, suggests a new cause. The major new cause can only be the consequences of feminism. This does not mean that feminism has achieved nothing good. Of course it has. A movement for equality between the sexes, an attempt to remove all sex-based obstacles to a woman's right to do whatever she wishes with her life, must do some good. But how much good feminism has achieved is unrelated to the question of whether it is or the primary contributor to the rise in depression among so many women. One can view feminism as the greatest social achievement since the emancipation of slaves, and still regard it as a major reason many women are depressed. So enumerating the reasons feminism has caused many women's depression is not necessarily an indictment of feminism. Many good social developments come with personal prices. We begin our list with the expectations feminism raised in a generation of women. As I wrote in my book on happiness, happiness is a serious problem. Much unhappiness comes from having expectations. When our expectations are not fulfilled, and most are not, we can become unhappy and even bitter. And when our expectations are fulfilled, we are no happier because fulfilled expectations undermine gratitude. We are not grateful when we get what we assume we will get, and gratitude is indispensable to happiness. Feminism raised women's expectations beyond what life can deliver to the vast majority of them. It was hard enough for women in the past to realize their far fewer expectations of marrying a good man and making a happy family. But feminism told a generation of women that they can not only expect to have a happy marriage and family, but perhaps even more important to feminism, they could also expect to have a fulfilling, financially rewarding, society-honoring career. I wish all Americans could hear the women who call my radio show, who tell of how they were raised to believe this feminist promise, and therefore pursued often successful careers while delaying marriage. And now at 35, 40, 45 years of age, they wonder why that career is so unfulfilling and now yearn for a man and family they have put off having. For most women, of course not all, careers are not nearly as fulfilling as are a good marriage and family. Unless one believes that women and men are the same, and therefore the same things bring them happiness, the feminist emphasis on career has been an obstacle to many women's happiness. As a rule, women derive most of their happiness from relationships, not from work. Men need both to be happy far more than women do. Men's very identity is predicated on their answer to the question, "What do you do?" whether fair or not, to either sex. Virtually no woman's identity is dependent on what she does for a living. That is why, while both sexes suffer financially from the loss of a job, when men lose their jobs, they often lose their self-worth as a man. The greater importance of work to men is also manifested in their willingness to work many more hours than women. To make things even worse for many women, not only are most women not finding their careers nearly as fulfilling as they had been led to expect, they rarely find the demands of home life lessen much. Now many women experience double the pressure, having to succeed in jobs outside of the home, and as much as ever inside the home. The feminists promise that everything in their marriage will be 50-50. Each partner will do half the outside work, half the housework, and half the child rearing. Rearing has rarely panned out. Most men will work their tails off outside the home, but won't inside the home. Consequently, many working women either experience increased tension with their husband or increased pressure to succeed both outside the home and inside the home as mother, homemaker, and wife. Failed expectations are not the only reason many more women are depressed, but it is a big one, and there are more. One is the way in which many girls have been raised. As every wise person and wise culture in history has known, it is impossible to attain any happiness without conquering one's nature. This is, of course, equally true for boys and girls, men and women. However, along with the feminism arose a belief in the superiority of female nature. One result of this has been the suppressing of many male instincts, both negative and positive, along with little or no suppression of negative female instincts. Societies and parents always knew that it was imperative to teach boys to control two aspects of their male nature, their sexual desires and their predilection for violence. So all of us decent men were taught from a young age to touch a woman sexually only with her permission, and to channel our physical aggression into sports or into helping to fight evil by joining a police force or the military, or by being prepared to physically defend innocence. Men who did not learn to control these aspects of male nature not only became bad men, they became unhappy men. Happiness is attainable only when we control our nature, and not when our nature controls us. Societies and parents also always knew that it was imperative to teach girls to control their natures, in particular their predilection to be ruled by their emotions. Women who allow their emotions to rule them not only become destructive to members of their families first and foremost, they became unhappy women. However, with the advent of contemporary feminism and other social trends that coincided with the rise of feminism, among them the elevation of compassion over standards, the great emphasis placed on feelings, the rejection of patriarchy, and the devaluation of traditional masculine virtues like subdued emotional expression, female nature came to be seen as far less in need of discipline than male nature. So while society continued to teach boys to control themselves, it stopped teaching girls to do so. Girls' emotions and feelings were inherently valuable, and denying this was attacked as sexist, if not misogynistic. Consequently, the women many of these girls grew into lacked ability to control their natures, to control their emotions or their moods, and therefore lack the facility to engage in the self-control necessary for happiness and the avoidance of depression. Another aspect of feminism that has probably contributed to many women's unhappiness was the rejection of femininity. Feminism was more often the celebration of masculine virtues, for women only, alas, than the celebration of feminine virtues. The latter were usually dismissed as weak, passive, underachieving, or even oppressive. One is the rejection of feminine dress. A girl who attends class at almost any high school or college wearing a skirt or dress is an anomaly. Another is coarse speech. A generation ago, men refrained from using curse words in front of women. Today, many young women curse as readily as men. Such behaviors were inconceivable when women were expected to act feminine. And of course, the liberated female celebration of casual sex throughout history associated with male nature is the antithesis of femininity. The loss of femininity may well have contributed to many women's depression. Though in our foolish age femininity is often identified with weakness, it was in fact empowering for many women, giving them a distinct power and identity that was unavailable to men. Women are not generally happy being largely indistinguishable from men. Which brings us to yet another cause of unhappiness among women, the effects of all the above on men. Women are generally happier when they have a good man in their lives. And by good man, I mean not only devoted and kind, but masculine as well. Yet the prevailing egalitarian doctrines have conspired not only to undermine femininity in women, but masculinity in many men. Just as women were supposed to forge feminine virtues, men were supposed to relinquish masculine virtues, which have been derided as sexist, oppressive, patriarchal, and therefore anachronistic. However, once again, things did not work out for many women as feminism has led them to expect they would. The dearth of masculine men has not brought most women happiness, but unhappiness. Those who do not believe this should simply ask single adult women looking for a husband what their greatest problem is with the men they mate. They are not men, is the single greatest lament. Not they are not egalitarian enough or not sensitive enough. And women without men are not, as the old feminist saying went, fish without bicycles. They are women without men. The 1960s ushered in the age of hubris, a time of almost unprecedented levels of conceit, that one knew better than all previous generations how to order life, that almost everything inherited from the past was just plain wrong and outdated. For this hubris, arrogance, we have paid and will continue to pay a steep price. And many women, untrained in subduing darker aspects of their natures, deprived of the female joy of femininity, and increasingly deprived of men, as opposed to boys, are feeling the brunt of these losses. They call it depression. This video is a production of the School of the White Crane, and my name is John Brooker. You could communicate me through commentary on this video or through my Gmail listed here. Please share this video with your friends and family and on social media, and may God richly bless you.